Nichiren Buddhism is it considered Buddhism? I think when it started off, it is Buddhism. Then eventually it become less and less Buddhism. Yeah. Are y'all familiar with Nichiren Shoshu? The proper name would be Nichiren Shoshu, and then split off from Nichiren Shoshu is Sokan Gakkai. Their practices are fundamentally similar, except that Sokan Gakkai doesn't have a Sangha element anymore. In Singapore, there are various Buddhist organizations that is primarily lay. Yeah. So, for example, there may be Buddhist societies where there are no, where it's not a temple or monastery. If it's a temple monastery, then there is Sangha inside, right? So, but even then, the most Buddhist societies would have spiritual advisors that is Sangha. No? So the point is that most Buddhist societies would have recognition of the Sangha. That means it recognizes the Fourfold Community. Yeah, monks, nuns, laymen, laywomen. Yeah, but Sokan Gakkai is a bit special. From what I know, they don't have Sangha as their teacher. They don't have spiritual advisor or any affiliation with any Sangha body, yeah, any monastic body. No, so they have they are totally separate. Yeah, and it is if I don't recall wrongly, this is actually one of the reasons why they split up from Nichiren Shoshu. Yeah, there was some, I think there were some differences, yeah, within the organization. So in Nichiren Shoshu, there's the Fourfold Community, and then from what I know, from what I heard, there was a conflict between the Sangha and the monastic, yeah, Sangha and the lay, rather Sangha monastic, yeah. So they split off, and so Sokan Gakkai then is like no Sangha. Yeah, so that's one. You cannot. It's like the Sangha. You cannot find any Sangha body that exists by itself and say, oh, we don't recognize lay people. There's no such a Sangha. Why? Because Sangha, where does Sangha come from? Come from lay, ma. So you cannot possibly have a Sangha organization. Yeah. Sherry has to go. Where is Sherry? Sherry. Bye, Sherry. See the silhouette. Whether okay, come up. So yeah, you cannot have Sangha without the lay. Yeah, but some lay organizations they feel like they don't need to have Sangha. But if you don't have the Sangha around, then I don't know. Yeah, then when you take refuge, then it's only Buddha and Dhamma. So but this is still not the key thing why they are not considered. So to be fair, Nichiren Shoshu, I don't know what is the current state, but more active in various countries is Sokan Gakkai. Yeah, from what I know, like in Singapore, you have Sokan Gakkai. I don't know whether Nichiren Shoshu has a branch in Singapore, maybe. Yeah. So I can't really comment further on Nichiren Shoshu. Yeah. But as far as I know, if the practice for Nichiren Shoshu and Sokan Gakkai is identical, then there's still a slight problem, which is there's no emphasis on Four Noble Truth Eightfold Path. Yeah. Their main practice is recitation of the title of the Lotus Sutra. And they recite Namo Orenge Kyo. Yeah. Reciting the title of the sutra, there's nothing wrong with that. Like when we recite Heart Sutra, we start off Namo Pora Polo Mito Sing Sing, you know, yeah, or Pora. There's nothing wrong with that. But you also recite the main sutra, right? Because the sutra itself is the wisdom. Yeah. Of course, if you go listen to some of the teachings by the masters, right? From the title itself, it can be many years of Dhamma talk. Yeah. But the trouble is, how many people, when they just recite Namo Orenge Kyo, they can fully appreciate all the parables inside Lotus Sutra, that they can appreciate the 3 vehicle to 1 vehicle? I don't think so. Yeah. And from what I've very briefly hear about Soka Gakkai, so as I said, Nichiren Shushu, I'm a bit hesitant to comment further because I haven't heard much beyond the fact that they just recite the title. Yeah, so I don't know. But the branch off from Soka Gakkai is very clearly, number one, without Sangha. Number two, doesn't really teach Four Noble Truth Eightfold Path. And number three, they don't really teach Sutra. Yeah. I have, there was one parent from one of the Buddhist organization attended the parents class, and then shared with me that she has friends who is from Soka Gakkai, and then tried to share with her, and then they have Zoom class also. So she said, you know, if you want, you can just attend one and see for yourself. So out of curiosity, I said, okay. So I went it anonymously. And halfway through, I'm like, okay, I don't have to spend any more time. Yeah. Yeah, because it's basically their own lay leaders, own self, teach own self. Yeah. There's no basis from the sutra at all. Now, here we must be very cautious. I'm not saying that they are teaching anything evil. I'm not saying that they are teaching anything bad. Yeah. Let me ask you, for 100 over years, I think, there is the Scouts and Guides, right? Scouts group and Guides group, right? Scouts teach young people to become independent, to be prepared, yeah, to serve others, to be kind, to be helpful, and so on and so forth, right? To be honest, all very good values, right? So can we say that Scouts group is Buddhist group? Cannot, right? Yeah. Cannot say that they are Buddhist group. But Sifu, what if the Scouts group start to put the Buddha, start to claim that they are Buddhist? Still cannot. A Scout can be a Buddhist, but Scouts group are not Buddhist in nature. Yeah. So we're not. So you see, we don't go around attacking Scouts and say, "Hey, y'all cannot be Scouts." We say that Scout is Scout, Buddhist is Buddhist. But if now a Scouts group claim to be a Scout, a Buddhist group, then they must have certain things inside, such as the Four Noble Truth Eightfold Path. They must teach and once you teach Four Noble Truth Eightfold Path, under Eightfold Path, right view, it includes all the teachings already. Yeah. So, but Soka Gakkai, from what I see, no such a thing. Yeah. There's another group some years back when I was in the federation. They tried to apply for membership. Yeah. Shinonen. I think if I don't pronounce it wrongly or remember wrongly, Shinonen. Yeah. Basically, I think it's translated, the Japanese word is sen something something. Yeah, Shinonen. And they say that they are Buddhist group. So so I said, I think we should give them a due, we should have a due process, you know. So then they were like, okay, then you go and take a look. They were, "Ah." So I went down. And when I went down, they recite the, if I don't recall wrongly, they recite Namo Tassa also. They recite the standard puja. They recite Heart Sutra also. But then when they were doing their practice, when they are doing their practice, they have a very interesting way of doing the practice. So they have a square hall or a hall, and their members will sit in a square. Nothing wrong with sitting that way, because if you go to Korean Zen, when they do meditation, they sit around the perimeter. Yeah. In ancient China, meditation hall, they have the Buddha in the center, and they sit around the perimeter. Yeah. Sometimes facing the Buddha, sometimes they turn around and face the side. Nothing wrong with that. But when I sat in to observe, the host was very happy to have me sit in to take a look. Then you know what happened? There are senior members who would sit around the square, and then junior members will come in and then bow and then receive teachings from them. Receive teachings from them. And the senior members would like do some gesture which I feel very uncomfortable with. Like they seem to be going into some kind of, I don't know whether it's a trance or just some inspired movement, you know. And then they would then just give them things. They'll say, wow, they'll tell them like must like this, like that. And when I asked, and after the session was over, I asked the host, I was like, so what are they doing? And I said, oh, they are giving inspired teachings. I said, inspired by what? Oh, inspired by the and I think either from he said Avatam Saka Sutra, and I happened to at that point in time I was reading through the Avatam Saka Sutra. So he said inspired from Avatam Saka Sutra. I was like, oh, Huayan I know. And then and he said that if I don't recall wrongly, from the sutra and from the masters. So I was like, okay, that's where it's a bit question mark. Yeah. So I asked, okay, so do you know which verse is inspired from? Because I was like, I'm somewhat familiar with Avatam Saka Sutra. So maybe you can let me know which chapter, which verse. And then he said, oh, no, it's definitely from the sutra. I was like, okay, let me know. Or maybe you cannot remember offhand, it's okay. But please find out. Yeah, maybe you are not aware, but maybe the senior ones are aware. You can find out from them, then let me know. Never came back to me. Yeah. That this practice of doing this, and then the teachings that they give. Again, so are you implying that the teachings that they give is evil or wrong? I said, no, I'm not saying that. Just as I say, just as you think about it, you go to, if you have some problem, you go and look for some social services, then they assign a counselor to you, a social worker. Then the counselor, social worker will also, with their best intent, with their best ability, yeah, counsel you, right? Yeah. But even then, when they counsel, there must be some basis. And if you see a psychologist, they must follow known set of psychological methodology, methodology, right? Yeah. They cannot just own self suka. Or let's say you fall sick, you go to a doctor, right? It says MD, doctor, whoever. Then sometimes you have the certificate, you know, the medical board certificate, whatever. And when they advise you, they must advise according to Western medical science. Why? Because his degree is based on that. So sometimes when you go to Western medicine, see doctor, right? Then they'll ask you, are you taking any TCM medicine? Then if you say yes, they will definitely tell you, please stop. Yeah. Some of them, some of the doctors may actually own self be taking TCM. But when they are in the office, in their capacity as a Western medical doctor, they must tell you to stop all other form of medication because they don't have any, at least the literature that they base on does not recognize other forms. Yeah, no research has been done. They cannot just based on their own personal preference, their own personal whatever advise you. So now if you, let's say you go to a doctor and the doctor give you TCM. A TCM doctor give you TCM, nothing wrong, right? But if a TCM doctor tell you they are Western medical trained, cannot. So similarly, when I went to this Shinonen, I mean somewhat related because this claim to be Buddhist, but then cannot find the features that is fitting with Buddha Dhamma. Yeah. So yeah, so whether it is the Shinonen, Soka Gakkai, Nichiren Shoshu, so if you ask me, this is my reservation. But I've met members from Soka Gakkai also. Yeah. And they tend to be quite pious. Those who are inside tend to be quite pious. They're very religious about reciting Namo Renge-kyo, like for how many thousand times and so on and so forth. Yeah. So when I meet such members, they generally feel like they are practicing Buddhism. Yeah. I also won't tell them that, oh, you are following a cult group or what. Instead, I will tell them like, it's good that you are doing some practice. Yeah, it's good that you are reciting the Lotus Sutra title. But that's like going to a restaurant and then just reading the restaurant name and then walking out. You're not ordering any food. Yeah, you're shortchanging yourself. You're shortchanging yourself. In some cases, they actually over time, the fact that they happen to bump to see me, it means that they attended classes. So one such case is a student whose family are all practicing this under Soka Gakkai. And she happened to attend my Heart Sutra in Buddhist fellowship. And so after that, she brought her father in. And over time, the father started to become more open about mainstream Buddhism. Okay, let me see. Quack says they have a place in Singapore to worship. A friend brought me there. You are left alone to chant. I think chant Buddha. Quack, do you mean Nichiren Shoshu?
It's Japanese one. It's near the St. Andrew Hospital there next to
it. Okay. Yeah, either one. So, okay. Wei Qing asks, Sifu, during the Qingming festival, temple will organize chanting for the deceased name fetus, dedication for karmic creditors. Can we really practice filial piety and dedicate merits for their liberation this way? Just curious, for donation, which one should we contribute? So the first question is, can we really practice filial piety and dedicate merits for their liberation this way? The fact that we try to do something for them, that's an expression of filial piety. Yeah. So it goes back to the question of when we participate in such programs, yeah, puja services, is it of merit? Yeah. The first thing is it is of merit. Yeah. Then the question is, can it benefit our departed loved ones. Yeah, my simple answer is yes. Yeah, but as to how it benefit, it's not as simple as what we think. Or I just transfer account to them. Or I've shared this before. So perhaps some of the volunteers can help link them up. Sakyang, would you like to help? Yeah. So Wei Qing, yeah, Sakyang will, I don't know how Sakyang is going to help send it to you or something, but maybe you can stay on after this, okay? Then she'll link you up. Yeah, because I've touched on this topic quite a few times recently.
Okay, cancel.
So yeah, then just curious, for donation, which one should we contribute? So for donation, which one should you contribute? Actually, in most cases, whichever one you contribute, it is. You think about it, when you attend a puja service, they may have different options, right? Whichever one you contribute to, who receive it? Not your family members. They don't have a bank account that we can transfer from Sing dollar to their currency. Okay, so the fact is, the simple fact, okay, is whenever you attend puja services and you contribute a certain amount, it goes to the temple. It goes to the upkeep of the temple, maintenance of the temple, utility, yeah, to defray various operating costs, maintenance costs, and so on. Yeah, and if there are resident monks, it goes to helping to sustain their daily needs. These are the few main areas. Yeah, and on top of that, they may have other programs that is basically offered without charges. Yeah, so it is collectively, or rather, the funds are sort of collected from various programs and then redistributed to be used to do one thing: propagation of Dharma. Yeah. So we can participate in puja services in this way, which is basically the first paramita, by giving, right? Yeah. But more importantly, we should try to go and participate in the puja service itself. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, most temples actually, when we organize this, right, our primary aim is to get people to participate in the program. Yeah. There is the practical need for those with centers to actually collect some funds in order to sustain the day-to-day utilities, operations, and so on and so forth. And there is this practical need. Yeah. The Little Dharma Works, which is the Buddhist society, yeah, that is organized all these programs, we have almost zero overhead. Yeah, which is why I keep on telling the volunteers, try to keep our operating costs to a minimum, so that people don't have that, how do you call it, can just participate lah. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I also tell them, don't look at other centers and think, oh, how come they charge for this, charge for that? Because they have a center to maintain. Yeah. But then why do they have a center? Yeah, easy for us to say, right? If they don't have center, then we also don't have a center to use. So, you know, and the truth is, yeah, the very simple truth, nothing bad about this truth, but the simple truth is, for most people, when we start off getting exposed to Buddhism, we need to see something tangible. Yeah, you need to see a temple that looks like a temple, you know? Yeah. And how to make it look like a temple? Either by the external design that looks like a temple, at least what we think of as a temple, yeah, or inside, inside you have the Buddha image, yeah, you have the setup which looks like a temple. Imagine if you go to a temple and outside it looks like a shopping mall, Paya Lebar Square, and you go inside, there's a big hall that looks like the atrium of a shopping mall, yeah, and all very nice pastel color. Yeah, for most Buddhists, most people who are new to Buddhism, they're going, did we go to the wrong place? Then inside got Starbucks. No Wu Guan Tang, but got Starbucks inside, got Subway. Would you feel comfortable? No, ma. So temples are structured that way to inspire faith, right? Because there are those who are new, they need that something tangible so that they can be inspired towards wholesomeness. But once you get more into the Dharma, then whether there's this or not is less material. Also, out of compassion for many people, they still need that. I will have you know, actually, those venerables who are managing centers, yeah, those venerables who are the abbot of various temples, sadhu to them. Yeah, it's a great service that they're doing. Yeah, some people, over the years, I've seen people write open letters, pass comments saying, all these all these monks or nuns are all very money-minded. Do you know that if you have a building beyond a certain, I think if you have a building and you have, let's say, a lift, okay, a lift inside your building, the operating cost is crazy, you know. Yeah, and if you have a building that is open to the public, you cannot say save money, the lights switch it off. You're required by law to keep some of the lighting on. All this is cost, you know. And do you know that if you have a temple, you're charged, many temples are charged business rates for their utilities, not residential rates, you know. Yeah. So all this is something that most lay people don't know. Yeah. But the I hope I'm speaking up for them in the right way. But this is a matter of fact. I don't blame the utilities. I don't blame Power Grid, Singtel, StarHub, all those. Yeah, because they're following the institution in Singapore. Yeah. But as a result, they have to contend with that, including if you know in many new towns, yeah, usually in new towns you seldom see new temple. Yeah, very far and few to come by. Why? Because number one, for new towns, the new town planning is really sad. There are some land parcels that are allocated for religious purposes. Yeah, those that is near city center is not for Buddhist and Taoist temple, because I don't know whether the stipulation has changed, but from what I know, there is a very long archaic, long ago stipulation that because ours have a burning of incense, yeah, and we have the noise pollution, so it's under light industry. So it is always parked at the outskirts of the new town, and then oftentimes nearby. Yeah, when we had some meetings in the past, I raised this up. I'm like, GST also review, how come this is not reviewed? But yeah, but this is not government's fault. In case anyone go and quote this, civil complaint about government. No. The government, Singapore government is secular. So it is not their duty to work for any particular religion in particular. Yeah, they just maintain the system. But if Buddhists really feel so strongly, then we should raise it up. Yeah, it's just that Buddhists don't collectively raise up anything. They're quite, okay. Yeah, but over the years, I also realized why we don't raise up. Yeah, because in those land parcels, right, there's an initial bidding, which is like in terms of millions of dollars for the land parcel. Yeah, and then you're given 30-year lease. And 30 years later, depending on the town planning, if there's changes, you'll be offered to a new plot. Yeah. If not, you'll be offered a term to renew the lease, and it's according to what is deemed to be market price. Yeah, this is what I know, so that's why you see a lot of temple in the Geylang area, because those areas are freehold, and those are the land parcel gazetted for the, what I call it, the associations and religious organizations. Yeah, you start to see churches, small churches over there also. Because why? Over there, no matter how much is it, you finish paying, you're done with it. Yeah, there's no recurring. You may think 30 years, long time, huh? Because for most temple, you don't have that 10 million, 20 million to just plug in on day one. You're paying, and because of the mortgage, right? The interest, everything, you end up paying most of the 30 years, just paying up. Then when you finish, the next, don't know, 1 or 2 millions come out. So every generation of the monk who take over or nun who take over have to contend with this. Yeah. Oh. So I mean, just sidetrack lah, because we talk about this contribution, which one, anyone that you contribute is okay actually. Yeah. Oh, as to like when you go for a puja service, anyone that you write is actually okay. Yeah. More importantly, if you can go down there personally to participate, yeah, and then you dedicate merits to your loved ones, that's the best. Don't just write, then donate money. I mean, if that's the only thing you can do, then so be it lah. But better if you contribute to support the community, the temple, the monastery, yeah, and participate. Shifu, is the recitation, Ongchit asks, is the recitation of a sutra title very different from the recitation of a Buddha's name that is Pure Land practice? If they were similar in nature, why would the latter be celebrated and the former be questionable? Very good question. Yeah. Are they very the same, very different, or very similar? So if you just compare these two, they are very similar. They are not different. Yeah. If you purely compare just these two, yeah, not that different. But if you look at Pure Land practice, they don't just recite Amitofoma. They recite the whole sutra, right? And inside the whole sutra, you talk about 五根五力七菩提分八圣道支, right? At least you are reminded there's such a thing, right? And furthermore, in centers that practice Pure Land practice, Pure Land Buddhism cannot just be teaching, just recite Buddha name 搞了. Hey, Shifu, there are some variables who say that. Oh, you must look at the context when they say that one. Yeah. Thanks. It's good that Ongchit raised. I'm sure Ongchit knows why. Yeah, but there are others. When they are new to Pure Land practice, you may find that, no one, but that's what some masters say. You must know the context. In some context, it is that the listeners are all the gray hair one, all the reaching the already collect CPF type. Yeah. And furthermore, when those teachings were said, maybe those were primarily uneducated. They cannot even read. Then you ask them to go and attend Dharma class, can be a bit of a challenge. Yeah. Or who knows, maybe that same venerable have been giving Dharma talk. I mean, you think about it, when was this statement made? Right? Most people forget such a statement was often made during a Dharma talk. So it means that the person who said this statement actually advocate Dharma talk, Dharma learning. Then why did he make this statement? It's because oftentimes is that most people just attend Dharma talk once in a while, but between the Dharma talk, don't do any practices. So as a minimum, it's like, at least go and do some chanting. Also, it's in that context. Because I challenge you to look at, Jingtu, I think it's Jingtu Wu Jing, right? There are 5 main sutras that's attributed to the Pure Land practice. You can look at all of them. I challenge you to find one that says you don't have to do Jie Ting Hui, that you don't have to practice Sila, Samadhi, and Panna. And Panna means you must learn Dhamma, right? I challenge you to find one that says, don't have to learn, just recite Amitabha Kapel. Yeah, you don't have to establish right view, don't have to one. You chant Amitabha Buddha, then automatically, boom, right view. I challenge you to find one sutra that says that. I don't say challenge you to find one venerable or one lay person to say that. Anyone can say that, but I challenge you to find one sutra that says you don't have to learn Dhamma. Within the Pure Land tradition, you can only find? Cannot find. So as a result, when we look at Pure Land practices and you compare the recitation of Buddha's name and the chanting of the sutra title, yes, they are very similar. But the difference is that the framework itself. Pure Land practices, the chanting of Buddha's name is within the framework that includes the whole teaching, the whole practice, Noble Eightfold Path. Yeah. And if there's any Pure Land practitioners, you ask them, 你们有弘扬，你们的祖师有弘扬四圣谛吗？ Yeah, does your master advocate the Four Noble Truths? He dare to say no. No 祖师 dare to say no, 我们不提倡四圣谛的。Cannot. Whereas for Sangha Kakai, you ask them Four Noble Truths, don't know. Yeah. So the framework. This is a good question.
Thank you, sir.
Same day ahead. Smile. Remember to smile.
Bye-bye.
So bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.